Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Fish Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Taz with Donald, and holy shit, we have Rob hanging out with us. And boy, did we miss you in the discussion. But we do want to thank everybody that's tuning in this morning. That's kind of why we're just slightly late. We do apologize, but having the three of us together, we had a little catching up to do. But we have such a fun show and some topics to get through. But before we get into that, just make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, and share this out with everybody. Listen, it came out yesterday. We have a problem with our GM, and that is nobody knows where he is. I don't know if he's sleeping on the corner, if he's scaling up a wall, but he was not at the GM meetings. And that is a big problem. That's a bad look, especially that you've had this job for all these years. Like you would think that this is one of these automatics that is circled on your calendar where, all right, this week I have to be here. And all I have to say is there better be a damn good reason why he was not there. If it does come out that something really did happen, it is, we'll retract any statements. But for the time being, Brian Cashman, shame on you. You know better. You're the other statesman as these GMs with all these teams. You should not have any excuse not to be there. Donald, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know anything, so I'm not going to speculate. But there's only a couple of events that he needs to show up for during the winter, and this is one of them. So it is a little weird that the GM is missing from the GM meetings, and I'm sorry, but Zoom isn't going to cut it. And I'm also a little bit concerned by his representatives, Mike Fishman, Gene Afterman. I mean, that's probably what I've got a bigger issue with than Brian Cashman. Is that the best you can do to turn up at the GM meetings? Mike freaking Fishman and Gene Afterman, who I don't really rate, I have to be honest. Aaron Boone isn't even there because he's got family things. So, like, the two main heads of the Yankee football baseball operation is missing for the GM meetings. I just think it's not a great look. I mean, if it's a family emergency, then fine. But you would think that they would have had a better plan in place because it's actually important. Because, by the way, these GM meetings that people are starting to already or kind of putting, the shills on X are already going, it's just a conference. It's not. These meetings is the meetings that helped land them Juan Soto and Trent Grisham in 2023. And that's not coming from my mouth. It came from Chris Kirshner's mouth in his article in The Athletic. 2023, these winter meetings helped them land Juan Soto via trade. It was the groundwork that started in these meetings. So yes, these meetings are important. And the head of the Yankees, the figurehead, who should be schmoozing with agents, who should be schmoozing with Pete Alonso and with Kyle Tucker, going, hey, what do you think of being a Yankee? What can we do to make it work? He's not there. And I'm sorry, a Zoom ain't going to cut it with these kind of players, these kind of free agents. So I think it's a bad look, especially with all these Japanese free agents that are now available. So their agents will probably be wandering around the building. These are the kind of things that I want my GM there for. Heck, even my manager at worst, and no one's there. So I think it's a bad look. But I mean, we can't. I don't know. I'm hope that everything's okay with Brian Cashman's family. Obviously, family precedes all that. If we were all in the same boat and we all had a family emergency, I'm sorry, the GM meetings don't matter. But when you're the GM of the New York Yankees, the GM meetings kind of important, like kind of vital, actually. So not great, not a great look.
Yeah, the last thing the Yankees want to have, I'm going to throw it to Rob in a second. The last thing the Yankees or us need to have is some of these impending free agents or trade talks, especially with these Japanese players. Their agents are going to be there as well, I'm sure. And if we don't get any of these guys, you could already hear the story. Well, we never met Brian Cashman, so because he was not available, and it doesn't seem like they sent any replacement for him. That has not come out yet. If there were any Yankee representatives at these meetings,
No, they are. It's just Mike Fishman and Gene Afterman,
well, that Mike Fishman
and
is
no one rates then, so it's not a great.
yeah.
Fills me with great hope. I have to be honest.
Yeah, it's it's sad. It's a sad state for the Yankees. It's a bad luck. But Rob, what's your thoughts on everything and with the GM meetings and your thoughts coming into free agency?
But before we know anything about why Cashman's not there, I don't want to curse his name or anything, but I mean, it's certainly not a great look that the GM's not at the GM meetings. That's for sure. These are important, but it also kind of gives you the idea of what the Yankees' plans or lack of plans are for this offseason. I don't really think they have much of an idea what they want to do, so why go if you really don't have an idea what you want to do? Hopefully they prove me wrong, but it's kind of been the norm, just this front office disappointing us and letting us down in a way. So, I mean, I don't want to speculate on what he's going through. We know that Boone, I think they said that Boone's like on vacation or something. He's visiting family, but I don't know what is going on with Cashman. So until we know exactly why he's not there, then I don't want to start making any speculation or throwing out any nasty allegations towards his way. So hopefully it's nothing serious, like nothing too crazy. And I would, in a crazy way, you kind of prefer that he's just like, I don't want to go, and there's nothing that's wrong. So it's like that we can actually speak ill about him in a way. But yeah, it's interesting. But it also came from Randy Miller. So how legit is he? The guy's been wrong.
He's definitely missing. I mean, all the updates are just he's not there. So
that's rough. And yeah, I saw it was from Miller, so I wasn't too like, I was like, let me wait for another source to come out and say something, because that guy's wrong like 87% of the time. But
yeah.
But no, I just
probably family reasons, man. And we can't comment on that. But
yeah.
I think that if he's missing, then I would probably want better representatives. That's probably my biggest takeaway.
Oh yeah, Fishman's like idiot.
Like,
you don't want him.
M.I.A. We got his. Can't we bring like M.I.A. or something like that? Just someone that has a little bit more gravitas than Gene Afterman and Mike freaking Fishman. Mike Fishman is is a total douchebag. Like, and he has no idea about baseball. He doesn't have honestly, his baseball knowledge is less than everyone in this chat and everyone here. He has no idea about the game of baseball, not a single clue. And he's the one that's going to be talking to free agents and GMs. This is a bad look.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him representing the team. No. But then that's who the Yankees are sending. But yeah, I would much rather send M.I.A., but he's just he's basically like a Cashman clone, so he'd be the perfect person to send. But Fishman, he's also a Cashman clone, because all the guy's going to ask you is like, what do you think about the spot in the lineup if you were hitting 220 against this lefty? And he'd be like, oh, bat me seventh. Like, you're perfect. So I just don't think that they don't have the best representation, and it's kind of showing why this team is good every year, but they're always falling short of the ultimate goal, is they don't take that next step. And these are important because, like you said, it helped get Soto, and these do lay the groundwork for future trades and future signings. And this is a very important offseason because the lockout's definitely coming after this year, and you want to kind of go all out for it, but we know that the Yankees are already tied to quite a bit of money, and they probably don't want to go over a certain amount again, so it doesn't leave them with too much in terms of tax room, not cap space, but tax space. And there's really only one or two major free agents that you can say they might be in on. I can't even see them going after those guys. So, yeah, it's a very interesting offseason. So many things can happen. They can prove us wrong and just go all out spending like the Yankees of old, or they can prove us right and make one or two decent moves and then a couple, like, dare I say, dumpster signings, and just say, well, we already had a good enough team to win 94 games, which is kind of what Aaron Boone's already been alluding to on Talking Yanks. And him puffing out his chest, they're the least analytical team, and I don't know how that's a flex because you're pretty bad at it. And
We'll get
yeah,
there.
they're a very just a very interesting start to a very long off season, and it doesn't really give me much hope for what's to come. But I'm hoping to be proved wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at because we've heard what Brian Cashman said. I'm still disturbed by his post-season press conference, and now you, Aaron Boone, kind of who I was giving him a break because I thought that he came off the best of a poor bunch in that press conference, but to then go on Talking Yanks and flex that they're the least analytical team when making decisions, and the facts are the Yankees continually come up short in the postseason. I mean, Aaron Boone's a smart guy. He's a very smart man. How does he not see that implicates him as not being very good at his job? I mean, even the most optimistic person can take a step back going, well, you just kind of implicated yourself, bro. Surely someone smarter than that wouldn't have done that. But he's literally implicated himself that if they're the least analytical organization and they're one of the worst performing teams in the postseason, surely there's like a connection there, no?
Yeah, it's it just seems very unorganized. It seems like they're not in off-season mode. Is kind of the messaging behind all of this. But Rob, I really want to get as much out of you as we can today. Give us your thoughts on what they have done so far with Grisham with the qualifying offer, retaining Tim Hill and releasing Loizaga.
Fortunately, it seems like Grisham's going to decline the QO. Thank you for that. That information from Joel Sherman. That's huge. I was afraid he was going to take it. I'm glad he's going to decline. I guess he knows. I think he wants a multi-year deal. I don't think he's going to get $22 million, but he wants probably like 3-4 plus years. So I understand that point. He wants more money in general, and the Yankees will get a pick out of it. So I guess in the end it worked out. But it was definitely a risk. Bringing back Tim Hill is not a risk. I know certain idiots on the internet are going to complain about bringing back a reliable lefty for $3 million. There's no reason why you shouldn't have brought him back. He's probably your most reliable arm outside of Bednar. And Loizaga, he couldn't stay healthy. And when he was healthy-ish, he wasn't very good. So doesn't surprise me. That was always going to be the case. If he had a great year, you bring him back for $5 million, you get a good arm for cheap. And if he was bad, you cut loose with him. And that's kind of what they did. So nothing that they've done so far has shocked me. But I was a little bit like uneasy about the Grishams. I was like, I really hope he doesn't take it. Because he should, if we're being honest, because he's had one really good season. That was this past year. And to get 20-something million for one good year is kind of a dream for a lot of people, but he probably figures he's going to get at least a 3-year deal elsewhere, and that's more money in the grand scheme. There's definitely teams that need outfield help, the Mets being one of them, and we know they open up their pockets, so maybe he feels like he's going to get a good 3-4 year deal, which again, good for him. I just don't think he should be back with the Yankees, and it seems like he won't be. So we'll get a pick out of it, and he'll get more money. He'll get a chance to prove himself at another team. I'm happy for him. I'm just glad that we're not going to be hamstrung to $21 million for a potential 1-year wonder. I hope that's not the case for him personally, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that performance.
Yeah, I don't know if I would take that gamble. And I Donald and I were having the discussion on the previous show that I think that you're not going to see. I think a lot of the qualifying offers are going to be declined because of the pending CBA expiring. Because if they're not under contract, they don't get paid if they're not, with a team. And I don't think they want to come out of any potential lockout without having a contract. So I think you're going to see a lot of 3-year deals. So at least if they come out of it, if it's only one season, at least they come out of it with somewhere to go, and not try to get a deal afterwards where they're already a year and a half older.
That's a good point. I think we kind of dodged a bullet with Grisham. I mean, rejecting. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's definitely rejected it yet. We're going by the rumors. I'm just hoping that's the case. It's no disrespect on Grisham. Actually, Grisham is probably one of my favorite players on the team. Um, it's just I'm looking at long term, and the way I looked at it was, do I want to extend him? And my answer was a flat no. So why take the risk on the 22 mil? It's just I think it's probably because the CBA that he's going to look for multi years, and in order for that security, he wants that contract security. And good luck to him, man. I wish him all the best. He was a revelation this past year, a revelation. Solid glove. The bat, he was like Barry Bonds, like he was crazy. So like massive respect to Trent Grisham. It's just that I didn't see a long term fit there. So hey, it's worked out. We're gonna get a compensatory pick, and there's no harm done. So that's fun. That's fine.
Well, that's not to say the Yankees won't counter with a because he was making five. Let's let's think because Cashman likes his deals. He likes to get a little cheap on it. Although 22 million for 1 year for Grisham is not cheap.
No.
But can you see a situation where, all right, we'll give you the 3 years at 10 million? I wouldn't do it, but you could almost see Grisham going, well, if I was making five, pay me 10, I'll stay for the for the third year.
I think there'll be a National League team
Grisham,
that will be willing
well,
to
not
go.
even just with Grisham, but do you see a lot of teams going that route?
No, I mean I think there'll be a team out there that will want to pay him in the range of 18 to 20 mil per year, um, for multiple years, and I stand by. I don't think it should be the Yankees. I think the Yankees need to go elsewhere with that money. So I would not have even taken the risk, and I'm not alone. Even Michael Kay said it was a risk that he probably wouldn't have done, giving him the qualifying offer. So I think we're kind of lucky that he's going to reject it, because I think in normal circumstances, with no CBA next year, then there's a high likelihood he would have taken it. So I think we kind of got a lucky break there.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder if the CBA wasn't set to expire, would they have done this?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's a good point to that because you said I don't see a accepting a qualifying. Nobody's going to come out of a potential lockout. Like you said, it's not like the lockout's a guarantee, but I'd say if you look at a percentage, I think it's a 90% chance that there's not going to be it's going to go into a lockout.
Yeah, and I think probably that's why Bellinger opted out, because he's taking advantage of the fact that he's
Why
coming
take
off
the 1 year when you can go to get a contract for 3 or 4? Yeah,
right. I think he's coming
good
off a
point.
really
I
good
was thinking that.
Yeah, I think he's coming off a really good season. He's wanting to take advantage of that value before the CBA, so that's probably why he opted out, in order to get multiple years that security. And I think the Yankees are going to fall for that year that he just had, and are probably going to offer him an enormous contract. And I disagree with it, but I'm in the minority. But I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you see, I want to get to some of these discussions that are also going on in the chat because we have some of the the best opinions that follow us. You're hearing there's a discussion going on right now in the chat about Schwarber, and the problem with Schwarber um, is we have Stanton, so the DH spot is already locked in. I don't see unless you're just going to buy out Stanton's contract and bring in Schwab. I think that goes against that's really would hurt the Yankees more than help. Although I think any team that would just completely dismiss the option of Schwarber would be foolish. But yeah, we already have a team with DHs. We don't need to add another one.
Yeah, let's go through the comments in the chat, because we want you to feel like you're part of the show, which you guys are. So TC says we already have a team full of DHs.
Yep.
Stevie B does not trust Grisham's back. He says Hicks 2.0 waiting to happen. I don't know if he'll be Aaron Hicks. I'd never, ever classify
No.
him as Aaron Hicks, but I see your point. I don't trust his that long term. But he's much better than Aaron Hicks ever was. Obviously, Rob's dad here. Schwarber could replace Grisham and add a monster bat next to Judge. I mean, you're right. It's just there's.
Yeah, but Schwarber's not going to play center field.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a fit there, man. Like Armand's kind of right here. Schwarber's a DH only. The Yanks have a Stanton as DH. There's no doubt that Schwarber is a monster. If Schwarber could play a really good outfield, then I'd be 1,000,000% on. It's just I'm not sure if there's a fit there. But Duran's kind of all in on Schwarber, 1,000% down. And the Healing Man's Heart says is definitely not on the Cashman train, and I'm with him on that. Cashman took a gamble all for a fourth-round compensation. That was a hell of a gamble. Yeah, Grish ain't worth 22, not in a million years. So that's for sure. There's also other comments going on here because there's actually a report that Paul Skeens wants to be a Yankee. And I guess that ties in really well with the fact that we don't have any representatives at the GM meetings to be talking to his agent. So that's not a great look either. Exactly. That's kind of why I'm a little bit annoyed at that. But yeah, there were some comments here that Paul Skeens is interested in being a Yankee in the future. I just don't see how there's going to be a price that we could offer or a deal that we can offer that would even match the price that it would cost to get a Skeens. The Pirates said they're not trading Skeens. Oh, of course not, because they're not going to say yes, we will trade him. But if the Yankees were smart, which they're not, but I mean, they'd be very smart to go under the radar and see if you can test those waters. Because did anybody think that the Dallas Mavericks would trade Luka Doncic? So I mean, you could pull off a shock move, a stealth move, and that's what Cashman usually does really well. It's just it's not great that we don't have anybody at the GM meetings to have those conversations. But I genuinely don't think he's going anywhere. I really don't. So I'm not saying let's get our hopes up about Paul Skeens. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it would be wise to check in on the Pirates, because if there's an organization dumb enough to trade a Paul Skeens, it's definitely the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Very much. Definitely. It goes to at least there's a player that wants to come here. Let's at least focus on that, because there has been an issue with why would anybody want to come into this debacle of an organization that can't finish the job? They can get to the final lap and then they just take a seat. Rob, what did we talk about with the reports and the rumors that Paul Skeens said to his teammates he wants to be a Yankee?
Who came out with that?
There's various sources that kind of back that up. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but he apparently Skeens is interested in the Yanks.
Yeah, there was something that came out that he was overheard talking to teammates, and because I only saw it really quick right before we were coming on the air, so I don't have a deep dive into it. But I think the Pirates would be serious. I know the Pirates build around Skeens.
You'd think they'd want to, but I don't know if we have enough to get him.
No,
we don't have enough at all to get him, and so I think any Paul Skeens dreams will have to wait till free agency in like 5 years. So, did Randy Miller write the article? Well, if that's the case, then you can throw that one in the bin. So I ain't listening to that guy. I mean, in a dream world, yeah, you go get him, but I can't see a scenario where the Yankees go get this guy until he's a free agent.
Yeah, and I think that it's just all smoke and mirrors. I don't think there's anything to it. Like you said, it all depends because the GMs aren't going to come to an agreement.
MJ's nailed it right here. Cashman made Volpe for Babe Ruth. That is actually a fact. If Babe Ruth came back from the dead in his 20s, going, I'm ready, baby. Just trade me for Anthony Volpe. Cashman be like, no, we still have belief in our Volpe. Sorry. That is a fact. Good one.
I don't know what. Can you imagine that though? Like if there was a scenario where we could get Paul Skeens and the thing that was hanging, the one piece that he wouldn't deal was Volpe, they might actually burn the stadium down.
Oh my god, that'd be
brilliant. That would be brilliant.
Even as a fake situation, I could feel my blood pressure going up.
But to be honest, it's not really an outrageous thing.
No.
We've already seen these things happen in the past. The amount of time that Volpe has been used in trade scenarios for elite players, and the Yankees have been like, nope. And it's not just him. You go past, we talked about it. All the misses. We could have had Garrett Cole years before we got him in free agency if we were willing to give up some of the prospects that turned out to be complete ass. So that's what I'm saying is just like the Yankees are not operating the way that they should for an organization of our standards. They're just not. It's just that Cashman speaks a very good game. He speaks a fantastic game, and a lot of people buy it. A lot of people buy into it. A lot of people get excited. He's a genius politician. When you say things like we're the fully operational Death Star and we want to be all these kind of things, right? All it does is it ramps up people, gets them all excited, going, oh, what's Cashman going to do next? And it keeps the interest level. It helps the season tickets getting bought. It helps all the interest, and it helps the Yankees stay relevant. But in truth, the Yankees don't really do that much. They never really have. Well, since this new operation has come in, they don't get the big free agents anymore. All they do is they send out their minions. We know the ones that we're talking about, the Hulks and the Millers and all that stuff, and they keep saying the Yankees are checking in on so and so. They're checking in on Paul Skeens. They're checking in on such and such's agent. They are interested in blah blah blah. They don't actually go ahead and get them. They're just interested, right? Well, I'm interested in Sydney Sweeney. Doesn't mean I'm going to get her. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a difference between interest and actually landing that free agent, and the Yankees are experts at being interested, right? But that's how Brian Cashman does it, man. But in truth, I'm kind of resigned to where the Yankees are going. I think the Yankees are going to be like, oh, we're interested in Tucker. We're interested in Murakami. We're interested in talking about Paul Skeens. And in the end, they're going to land Cody Bellinger for like 7 years. And you're going to have to like it. You know what I'm saying? And until I see something different, that's what it is. Because we've seen it in the past. We've seen the free agents like the Freddie Freemans. We've seen the trade offers for Matt Olson. And the Yankees are like, no, we're just going to extend Anthony Rizzo. No disrespect to Anthony Rizzo, but I'm sorry, he was never on the class of a Freddie Freeman and a Matt Olson. And that for me is where we're at with Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker. So it's not a disrespect to Cody Bellinger. He's a good player. But he's not a star. He's not a Kyle Tucker. And I think that the Yankees are going to go and get Cody Bellinger, who's just a good player, but I think he's going to be overpaid for a good player. So you're just going to overpay for a good player. That's the kind of shit I'm worried about. And I just don't think the Yankees operate like anywhere near the kind of organization that they should be as the second most valuable franchise in North America. The third biggest franchise in the world, and they are operating just at a functioning level. That's all they are. They're just like they function. They're just good. They're okay. But there should be better than that.
Yeah, they went from the golden standard to the dysfunctional.
Right.
And it used to be and this is where we're going to get into the fun part. This is where you've heard, for a long time that when it came to, especially in the New York market, as far as the premier team, a premier organization, the gold standard, the way that everybody wanted to model themselves after, were the Yankees and the Giants. And the Giants have been able to say we could get rid of the defensive coordinator, but that's not going to solve the problem. They went after the head coach. And it's just like with the Yankees. They keep boom, but the first base coach has to go because he's the problem. Meanwhile, they keep the third base coach, which can't do shit. He doesn't know how to keep his arms by his side. Like when he sends Stanton and knowing that he's going to be out by 3.5 miles. That's where you have these parallels between these two teams where they just can't make the right move and can't get out of their own way. What do you guys think?
The Yankees did not evolve with the. Yeah, there you go.
Very good point.
It's a perfect point, Izzy.
Well said, man.
I'll say this as a Giants fan. Firing the DC certainly would help. That terrorist needs to go, but they got rid of one terrorist, and it's a start. Glory, glory, hallelujah! Brian Dable is no longer terrorizing my team, but it is a point because there was a time not that long ago where even though the Giants weren't winning every year, but they were always contending every year, and they were run very well, and they had a great coach, they had a great staff around that coach, they had a great quarterback, and ownership kind of they had a good GM in the early years of Jerry Reese. He was doing his job, and the owner was able to take a back seat and let the front office do its job, and it led to a lot of wins, and it led to 2 Super Bowls. But then once that nucleus started to wear off, and Coughlin lost a little bit of what made him so great, and they showed him the door in a disrespectful way, and then Eli started to lose a little bit of his game, and it happens with age. The ownership's inability to adapt really showed itself, and you're seeing that with the Yankees when the core 4 eventually started to wear off, and those guys started to lose their ability to play as well as they once did. Derek Jeter's final year was nothing like the Derek Jeter we were used to, and it's nothing against him. It's just age. And once that old era started to really just finally wear off, not finally, but once it wore off, you saw the front office's inability they no longer had Joe Torre. They no longer had the Jeters. They no longer had even A-Rod. They no longer had the Matsuis, the Posadas, the Pettits of the world. They didn't have those guys to let them say, we can just sit back and they'll do the job. And now it's up to them. And they just don't seem to be up for the job. So it is 2 very similar situations. And I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. I know we're not a football show, but John M.I.A is the reason why I don't give Hal Steinbrenner as much flack as we probably could, because I think M.I.A is far worse at his job than Hal Steinbrenner is. But there are two completely inept organizations right now in terms of adapting, in terms of evolving, and not getting out of their own way and thinking that if we just turn back the clock to what worked 30 years ago, we can do it again. And sometimes you just need to learn to evolve with the times, and that's what pretty much every other team in the NFL is trying to do. And the Giants seem to fall short of that, and that's exactly what happens in baseball. Even the Dodgers have gone younger with their front office, and I know they spend like the Yankees used to do, but they also use it wisely. They spend their money wisely. A couple of moves don't work here and there, obviously. You're never going to hit every single free agent move, but the Yankees just don't seem to do that, and they are 2 very comparable franchises, and it's rough, But to the Yankee credit, it's not nearly as bad as the Giants. The Giants have been an utter disaster for well over a decade now. They've had 1 or 2 good seasons in the last decade plus, and everything else has been a complete and utter dumpster fire. It's been something that makes you question your fandom at times. But at least with the Yankees, at least they're always the winning record as that's the bare minimum, right? At least they have a chance to say they can be in it at the end of it all. The Giants can't say that, so that's why I think that the Giants are run a hell of a lot worse. But the Yankees are certainly not doing themselves any favors because they could certainly be putting themselves at the top of the mountain every year because they have the resources to do it, and they just don't want to use them. And that's what bothers me the most about the Yankees. It's not that Hal Steinbrenner's cheap; it's just that he allocates his funds so poorly. The Yankees miss out on so many different big names, and they have the ability to get whoever they want. Those were their words last year. We can get anybody we want. Hal Steinbrenner said so. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, and I think we actually had a whole show proving how it was never going to happen that way. Donald, what's your thoughts on the parallels between the Yankees and Giants?
So, let's start with the Mara Hal thing. This is where I actually disagree with Rob to the extent that we do know that Mara loves the Giants. I don't know that Hal loves the Yankees. We know that John Mara cares about football. We don't know that Hal cares about baseball. We know that Mara, in a salary cap sport, money is no object. He will pay whatever it takes in order to bring in to try and help the Giants. He will do that. He has done that in the past. Unfortunately, the money has been really badly spent, but he has done that. And he also has shown a desire to fire guys that haven't been up to the job. Hal has not done that. Who has Hal fired in 15 years? No one. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like I'm not necessarily sure that Hal is a better owner than Mara. But there are similarities between the Yankees and the Giants, right? And this is where Rob's spot on here. It's just like they have not moved on from the glory years. So the Yankees have not moved on from their glory years. The Yankees have not moved on from the dynasty. They still believe that they are still the Yankees of the dynasty. But the thing is, once that talent dropped off, just like the Giants, once the Giants' talent dropped off, once Strahan, Eli, OC, Tuck, those guys have retired, Chris Snee, those guys have retired, Tom Coughlin moved on. Once those guys have retired, they have not shown an ability to replace them. And you move on, you look at the Yankees, that once the core four dropped off, once they retired, once they quickly retired A-Rod didn't retire, the Yankees retired A-Rod. Once they did all that, where's the talent come in their place? The only one was Aaron Judge. So they haven't really done that. So you look at it, and there are some similarities there. Both teams have not been able to move on from their glory years. And the Yankees still live in the past. And I think that has affected them because they think they should win, but they don't act like winners. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they still walk the talk. They still walk the walk. You know what I'm saying? They still think that they're the big bad Yankees, but they don't actually show it. Not in free agency, and not when it comes to not reaching expectations. And my big question is, what are the Yankees' expectations? I don't know. I think that the Yankees' expectations are, let's make the playoffs. Big green tick. We make the playoffs, they've done the job. But the way I view it, now I'm not speaking for every fan, but just from my perspective, it would be a surprise for the Yankees to miss the playoffs because it's very much in their favor. You have 162 games, right? You basically need to win 55% of them, right? And you pretty much guaranteed a wild card spot, right? 60%, you're there, right? Now, over 162 games, that's kind of doable with the Yankees' salary, with the fact they have an Aaron Judge, with the fact they have a Garrett Cole and a Big G. You know, you've got the talent there that, yeah, more often than not, you're probably going to win. And that's the truth is the Yankees are flat track bullies, and that's the way that they have acted and the way they have been for a long time. They are flat track bullies. There are a lot of teams that don't spend. There's a lot of teams that don't compete, and the Yankees trash them every single year, and that helps them get to the win total that they need in order to make the playoffs. But the big question is, what are they like when they face good teams? What are they like when they face good teams that can match you, right? And the answer is they don't. They can't compete with those teams. Just look at what the Toronto Blue Jays did to us this year, right? Let's look what the Dodgers did the year before. Let's look at all those teams. The teams that actually do pretty well in the American League usually beat up on the Yankees fairly well, and that should be an indicator to a Yankee front office going, well, what can we do to improve our process? But they don't do that. Instead, they just puff out their chests and go, we make the playoffs every single year. What more do you want? And that's where I think that they have gone wrong, because that's where I'm not sure what the Yankee process is. It just seems a little self-satisfied to me. They've come across, since being embarrassed by the Blue Jays, continually come across self-satisfied. And that's where I'm just really unsure. I mean, let's use this as my final example, right? Regarding the comparisons between the Giants and the Yankees. Now, I did have listened to a very interesting podcast with Pat Leonard, who was talking about the Giants, right? And he was saying that the Giants talk about standards, but they don't actually act on those standards, right? And I was thinking, damn, that sounds a lot like the Yankees, right? And then he's like, the Giants are more preoccupied by controlling the narrative than looking within themselves to see how they can improve. And I'm like, shit, that sounds a hell of a lot like the Yankees, just on a different scale. Do you know what I'm saying? And the latter is a perfect example. So we're going to play a little game, guys, in the chat and here in this panel, right? I'm giving you two scenarios, okay? Which one did Brian Cashman react to? Right? Number one, the Yankees got historically embarrassed against the Blue Jays for the first time in franchise history in the playoffs. Back-to-back games, they got beat by double digits, right? That's scenario one. Which one did Brian Cashman react to? That's scenario one. Scenario two, A-Rod said the Yankees had 40 H's on their roster, and Derek Jeter said that Aaron Boone is heavily influenced by the front office. Which one was Brian Cashman more angry at? Option two or option one? Rob,
I know the answer.
What's the answer?
Number
Rob?
two.
Number two. Uncle Tats, what's your option? What's your answer on that?
It's number two.
Felix Van Hearts, number two. Sunil, number two. Ding, ding, ding. What do they win, Johnny? Rooting for our shitty baseball team. That's what we win, baby, because that's exactly the answer. Brian Cashman's more worried about controlling the narrative. That's the fact. He was not that worried about the Yankees getting embarrassed by the Blue Jays. He was more concerned that Derek Jeter and A-Rod called him out publicly. That's what he's more angry at. That's what I'm more angry at. I'm more angry at his reaction to that. That's what I'm angry at. Here I am ranting again. I promised myself I wouldn't, but that's what I'm more pissed at, that the Yankees are more pissed about someone's opinions on Fox than he is about what's going on with the New York Yankees. Aaron Boone struggled again for another postseason. Concerned about that? No. Right? Anthony Volpe made a complete fool of himself all year long. Was he concerned about that? No. But he's concerned about Derek Jeter saying that Aaron Boone takes some information from the front office, and he's concerned that A-Rod called him out publicly. He hated that. He had to go publicly regarding that and rep them, but he never says anything with Aaron Boone. That's what I'm pissed at. What are your standards, Brian? Because you're more interested in controlling the narrative. That's what you are.
It's he's more concerned about how everything, how the team looks in the media. Win another championship. Shut the narrative down that you can't get the job done. Because, like I said, he has not, won a World Series since he had whatever was left of the core four. So once Stick Michaels guys were all gone, Cashman's done zero. He's gotten to a World Series, but he has not won a World Series, which is all that we're asking for. And it's a big ask. It's not easy to win a title, but it's not hard to put a team together with their budget and their pockets to be, and they're supposed to have this great team, even though they don't use analytics, which is the biggest joke. They don't use analytics, but they got one of the biggest. Then the year before, they're talking about how big their analytics team is. It's all right. So which one is it? Like their public narrative is so flip flop. You don't know what. I don't believe anything he says anymore. You can't keep trying to tell me that hand me an umbrella when it's sunny out, and give me a surfboard when it's pouring. Be straight with us. What the hell? I don't know what the hell I was talking about. But, I just don't. I'm just getting flustered because every time I'm just tired of this whole Brian Cashman. Look, he's got to go. Enough's enough. They need a new voice. They need a new direction.
Can you surf in the rain?
I don't know what that
I'm
was.
sure you can.
Is that?
I don't know what that was.
I have no idea where I was going.
I'm just talking. I don't know if Brian Cashman should be fired. I don't know about any of that stuff. All I know is that Brian Cashman needs to modernize his process. He needs a better backroom staff. He needs a better analytics staff, and he refuses to look at that stuff. He needs a better manager. He refuses to look at that stuff. His own manager basically admitted that he's not very good at in-game decisions. He said so in Talking Yanks. Right? So it's just like these are the kind of things that he should be paying attention to. He doesn't do it because he's more interested in controlling the narrative.
I don't think the Yankees know what their philosophy is. Because one year they're hyping up analytics, the other year they're the least analytical team in the division. I don't know what he was thinking saying that like it meant something. It's like, well, if you look at the stats, we're actually the least analytical team. Maybe we should start incorporating that. Maybe you should, because if this is the Aaron Boone way of managing, then my God, I was wrong, completely wrong about him. I never thought he was good, but I didn't think he was this bad. But these are coming from him. It's a bad look. Why would you admit that? It's like, yeah, I hit on 17. So what? It's like, you don't hit on 17. I don't even play blackjack, and I know that. It's just like, it's such a dumb thing to try to puff your chest about. But this is our leadership.
Weird.
I mean, I don't know whose analogies are worse, mine or theirs. I really don't.
That's a good one, Tats. Right. So let's talk about what the Yankees could be targeting, right? Because obviously we know that their process is outdated. We know these things, but they do have some money to spend, and luckily, because Grisham's not going to take that $22 million, we'll have an extra $20 million to play with. Tats, which kind of names are you interested in targeting? Well, like for instance, who'd be your number one free agent?
I said it on the last show. If it was Tucker or Bellinger, I want one of those two. I would prefer Tucker. He's slightly younger. Bellinger will be a little more because he's already been here. You might be able to play on the heartstrings of staying in the Yankee organization. His father was a Yankee. So you may be able to get a little bit of a discount, but I wouldn't expect much. But I think securing an outfielder along with Judge, and I think that would be good. That would get them off to the right start. And even though I like McMahon, I would not lock him into third base. If you're able to get Bregman, I go get Bregman. because that would get you a glove and a bat all in one player. McMahon, like I said, McMahon's glove phenomenal, but his offense is a little suspect.
It's true.
But it would be Tucker, Bellinger would be my priority.
Okay, Rob, same question to you.
Was it what I want or what I think they're going to do?
Oh, you can be both.
I want them to take this shit seriously. I want Kyle Tucker. I wanted Bregman. I don't think they're going to get him now because I think they are locked into McMahon. And maybe McMahon hits 20 plus next year with Gold Glove defense, and I think you'll be okay with that. But I think Tucker should be the guy. They should absolutely go after Tucker, and I think they're going to go after. I don't think they're going to go after a shortstop. I see a lot of Bo Bichette on Twitter. That's been the kind of big topic is Bo Bichette. I don't see that being the case. I think it's going to be one big free agent, and then it's going to be a bunch of like smaller. Like they're going to get either Bellinger or Tucker, and they're going to add a cheap starter with some cheaper bullpen arms. They do have to spend a little bit on the bullpen this year, but I don't think they're going to go crazy for it. I have minimal expectations, very minimal. I don't even think they're going to get Tucker. I think it's going to be Bellinger and like a Yarborough type starter, and then they're going to add a couple of bullpen arms, like a second lefty, and maybe hopefully some more hard throwing righties in there just to get some more strikeouts. But I don't really think they're going to go crazy.
I don't think they're going to go crazy either. So my number one is always been Tucker. Like when we missed out on him via trade, he was my number one target all the way through the year, and I'm not deviating from that now. And that includes passing on Cody Bellinger. The way I view Cody Bellinger, and I'm going to ask you how you view him, I view him as a good to very good player. I do not view him as a star. I do not view him as an all-star caliber player. Not at this stage in his career. He was. It's not that anymore. I just think that he's just a very good player. And I don't think that that's going to hold up through the duration of his contract. In fact, I don't even know if that would hold up through the half of his contract, let alone the duration of his contract. That's why I'm very concerned that everywhere I read, the Yankees are locked in on him as being far away their priority. I think that that's just another DJ LeMahieu scenario. That for me just reads DJ LeMahieu. And you know how big a fan of DJ LeMahieu I was. Dude, I have his jersey. I freaking love DJ LeMahieu. But the Yankees didn't see the wood for the trees. They didn't take a step back and look and say, he's due to take a decline here. He's due to decline. And as he gets older, his body's going to wear down. This contract's going to get ugly. And I think that's what's going to happen with Cody Bellinger. Rob, where do you fall on that?
I think it's risky if you give him 170 plus million. No, because he didn't necessarily show that he was consistent when he went to the Cubs. His first year was good, his second year wasn't, and luckily the third year that deal was. So with us, he's a guy that could potentially exceed the contract. You know, that's how much talent he does have. He's great defensively. We know he can do offensively. I always said that him in Yankee Stadium was going to benefit him, and it did. Can he repeat that for 3 of the 5 seasons is kind of the question, because we've already seen him go from an MVP to a non-tender with the Dodgers. So there's definitely some history with him that shows decline very quickly. Now, I hope that it's not the case. I know the Yankees love him. I know he loves being a Yankee, and I don't blame him for opting out. I think there's a bit of a risk there. But at the same time, you can say the same thing about Tucker, giving him a potential $15 million more per year, a guy that's had an injury history and numbers-wise wasn't much better than Bellinger this year. So there's kind of a risk there. Do you want to pay Tucker more money for a guy that statistically wasn't much better than Bellinger, and Bellinger can handle, there's that quote again, can he handle New York? You know he can. You know he can play anywhere you want him. Where Tucker, you have to put him in left field or right field, and he'll be fine out there for sure. But you know, in a pinch, Bellinger can play first. He can play center. He can play left. He can play right. I think the Yankees are looking at that and going, it's cheaper, it's familiar, and that's their guy. That's why I think that Bellinger is going to be the ultimate decision they make, and they're going to go make sure that he's back. That's my thought process. But I
agree. I think that's
I
exactly
can't
what
say
it
he's
is.
elite. I think he's just really good. But he also has the potential to be scary. At the end of that contract.
Whenever I've seen the Yankees go cheaper, it's usually kick them in the ass, and that's why I want to make sure that we go and get the best free agent available for that position. Because when I've seen the Yankees operate as they've operated recently, where they're going, oh well, Anthony Rizzo's the cheaper option. How's it worked out for you? Do you know what I'm saying? You've ended up passing on quality free agents, and they've been quality once they've signed that new deal, and the Yankees have settled for the B tier, the C tier free agents, and it's not really worked. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And also Tucker, man, wouldn't he have hit 7 more home runs at Yankee Stadium than he already did? Because of that ridiculous wall over there in Chicago. He was hitting some bombs down there that were being caught on the warning track that would have been in the third row or in the third tier at Yankee Stadium. So I'm thinking that bat would be pretty good because Cody Bellinger benefited from it. So, and Tucker is a much better offensive player than Cody Bellinger, and it's not close. So that's why I'm thinking, damn, he's like the perfect. I think he's the perfect candidate, Tucker, because like Bellinger will never be protection for Aaron Judge. Tucker could, and he's younger. So I just we keep passing on prime bats. We've just missed on Soto. If we miss on Tucker, then how many more are we going to pass on? And it's going to come back and bite us because Aaron Judge is not going to be Aaron Judge forever. That's just not the way it works. You know what I'm saying? Even Derek Jeter had a slight decline once he got a little older. Even A-Rod did. So the best of the best, the Hall of Famers, decline. And Aaron Judge is due to decline. And if the Yankees keep passing on it, and keep signing mid-tier free agents, which for me, Cody Bellinger is, he's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
I think that one point that you made with the protection for Judge, I think that's the key to who they get this free agency. They got to protect him in the lineup. You have to be realistic and admit that Stanton is going to miss 30 games due to an injury. He's going to get hurt. He gets hurt every year. We've accepted that, but we still love him. But you need that protection behind Judge. You need protection in front of Judge. I think that's the way that the Yankees need to operate and execute this offseason. You could insert any name that's a free agent, whether it be Alonso, Tucker, Bellinger, Bregman. You're going to have these premier names that can do very well around with Judge in between them. It's just a matter of how the Yankees are going to approach it. I just don't I don't trust the organization anymore to do the right thing for their star player. I have no faith in it. So I'm just hoping they get somebody at this point. I want Tucker.
I'll tell you who I'd sign. Pete Alonso. We're arguing about Bellinger and Tucker. For me, get me Pete Alonso. He's a righty bat. It's going to hit me 40 home runs. Now that's some protection for Aaron Judge. Then you can do whatever the hell you want with Cody Bellinger. Give me Pete Alonso. Have Ben Rice at catcher with Austin Wells as a backup to him. Then all that argument is irrelevant regarding Tucker and Bellinger. We do need a power righty bat because we've seen how poor the Yankees look when Stanton is out of the lineup because of his righty bat. You know what I'm saying? The Yankees need some power from the right side to help with Aaron Judge. I think Pete Alonso would be the guy to do that. Plus, it's kind of flexing a little bit, and the Yankees desperately need to flex, and that would be a Yankee flex move to be like, "Oh, hey Mets, we're still here." You know what I'm saying? We're still the big dogs in town. That would be kind of a good move, and it would also kind of help the interest level. It would help my interest level because right now I am completely disinterested in what the Yankees are doing. I need to have a big time name to remind me that the Yankees are still the Yankees, and I think Pete Alonso would be that move. Would you guys take Pete Alonso?
I'd be fine with it. I mean, that is showing that you are still the Yankees. If you can get both Tucker and Alonso if you really wanted to. If they really, really wanted to, they could. We know they're not going to, but if they really wanted to, they can get both. Realistically, they can get Bellinger and Alonso. And if that was the case, I think a lot of people would be fine if they went Bellinger over Tucker if it meant they got Alonso as well, because you're bringing back a 30 home run bat and you're adding another 35 plus in Alonso. You just know defensively he's going to be terrible, and you're going to have to take that risk because if the rest of the infield will be fine. So Jazz will be fine at second, Caballero should be fine at short, and McMahon will be great at third. So it's what they should do. It's what they're probably not going to do, and that's why.
Because I think they like Ben Rice first.
Yeah, they love Ben Rice's bat. You have to find a way to have his bat there every single day, and I think that's at catcher. I don't know if he's going to be a good first baseman. I'm sure he can be adequate. But if we're also talking about bringing in Pete Alonso, then I can't complain about Rice's defense because Rice is already better defensively, and he was incredibly unlucky. That guy could have had 30 plus. So how unlucky he was. I am very excited for Ben Rice next year. Just as a side note, I don't know where they're going to put him, but he will be in the lineup every day. He needs to be in the lineup every day. Sunil, I don't know why you're talking about me with your argument in the chat, but it's Pete Alonso would be a perfect addition for the offense. They do need a righty power back because outside of Judge and Stanton, who is it?
None.
It ain't Volpe. And he's going to be hurt to start the year. It ain't Caballero. He doesn't need to be. And they don't really have any other righties. And for the first time ever, they had too many lefties. They went from not having enough to having a bit too many. So if you bring in Tucker, that's another lefty. And if you have Rice playing first and Wells catching and Jazz at second, potentially Bellinger in center field or Spencer Jones and Dominguez, it's a lot of left-handed bats again with just two big righties in Judge and Stanton. And you know at some point Stanton's going to probably be in the IL. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And if Aaron Judge has a 2-week slump, and that's bare minimum for him, the entire offense is going to sputter with him slumping, as we've seen before. So you need to get another big bat in there that can kind of take over for when Judge has a little bit of a slump here and there. We saw it this year when he was down and he came back from the injury. He wasn't himself, and it had to be Stanton, and it had to be Jazz here and there. And Ben Rice was doing it all season. Grisham stepped up. Luckily, we had a few different guys, but now if Grisham's gone and maybe they don't bring back Bellinger, maybe they get outpriced by the Mets. We know the Mets are in on him. You do need to add a big bat. They can't be like, oh, we'll be fine with just Ben Rice and Jazz again. You can't bank on that. We've seen Jazz get hurt. We've seen Jazz be very streaky. You have to go spend. They have to. And unfortunately, I don't think they will. But they should. And they have the ability to. That's what bothers me the most is they can go and get whoever they want. They told us this. They can give up a comp pick. It's a late second round pick anyway. So come on. You can afford that if it means your team is going to be in the best position to win. The American League is still wide open. The Blue Jays made mistake after mistake after mistake. Again, the Dodgers did not outplay. It was for the second straight year. Their average was 200, and they were outscored in this World Series. But you know what? They made the plays when it mattered. The American League is still wide open, and the Yankees are just kind of we'll be fine. If we had the most amount of wins, and you got embarrassed when it mattered most. They got to make sure they won't be embarrassed. Pete Alonso is a big game hitter. He put that Mets team on his back in the playoffs last year.
That's what I'm thinking.
So you got to go and get the best players to help your chances of winning.
And also, it takes the pressure off the bottom of the lineup. Because obviously, we're thinking about McMahon, we're thinking about Volpe, right? If we don't upgrade our offense significantly and we just roll it back to Cody Bellinger and all that stuff, and Austin Wells being your everyday catcher, then that actually adds the pressure at the bottom of the lineup on a McMahon, on an Anthony Volpe. And that's where it's going to kill your team, right? Because McMahon is not a bat, right? But his glove is tremendous. I'm perfectly happy with a McMahon being kind of a Scott Brocious type, but we need to get that middle of the order set, right? Right now it's not set. So that's why I want to attack the big name free agents. You had a big name bat in there, not named Cody Bellinger, someone that can hit you 40 home runs along with a Stanton and an Aaron Judge, then you can ride it out with a McMahon at the bottom of the order and be absolutely fine. And the same with Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe is a disaster, right?
Yeah.
Horrible disaster of a player, but he'd be less of a horrible disaster if you've got a heck of a lineup from 1 through 6, right? Then you stick him in the bottom and you're like, all right, he's still a disaster, but we can live with him being a disaster. I can't live with him being a disaster without significantly upgrading our offense. So I'm okay passing on Bichette because I really love Caballero. I think Caballero's our boy. I think he adds athleticism, contact, all the good things. So I'm perfectly happy with Caballero and McMahon. Perfectly happy with that. But I need a Pete Alonso in there. You know what I'm saying?
They have to do more if they're going to do that.
Yeah. You need a better infielder in there that you can. It doesn't even need to be Pete Alonso, but it needs to be a big name first baseman. And then you upgrade catcher by moving Ben Rice over there. Austin Wells is a very good defender. You can platoon there, and you're fine. So there's a team that you can build this offseason that could theoretically win the American League as constituted. Doesn't take a lot, right? So anyway, we've got 2 last things on the docket before we sign off, right? The first thing I want to talk about, we need to attack the Japanese free agent market here. And there is a guy that the Yankees are looking at, and this is someone I'm very interested in, Tetsuya Imai. His last start, he pitched a complete game, 2-hit complete game shutout with 17 strikeouts in Japan. 17! And he is a free agent. He would solve any rotation problems. You stick him in there, and then you got him, Schlitt, wait for Garrett Cole to be fully healthy. Then you got Rodon, you wait for Rodon to be fully healthy, but you've also got Max Fried. Suddenly our rotation is absolutely insane. Then you can trade off of Will Warren or move Will Warren into the bullpen. Get me Tetsuya Imai. Other names, Omoto would be a very strong candidate. He's someone that can upgrade first and third. And then, of course, we've got the big name first baseman, Murakami, obviously. But let's go to Rob, because I know you're as big a fan of the Japanese as I am. They play the game the right way, and we really need to start attacking that market.
I don't think they're going to get any of them. But I would like to get I mean, I was talking about Murakami years ago, and I don't think at this point they want to go that route because he couldn't hit a fastball like higher than 93, apparently. Like, he was struggling with that this year. He's had some injury concerns.
Yeah, pitch over 94 miles an hour, he has the most trouble with.
Yeah. I would prefer they went for Imai. I know Doran's bringing it up. We have a lot of pitchers, but Rodon's hurt.
Always use more.
Cole's hurt. Schmidt's hurt. We don't know what they're going to be when they come back. We've already seen before when Rodon returned from injury 2 years ago, he was awful. and he had a terrible season that first year of that contract, and you're like, it's just the injury. I don't know if we can trust that. I don't know if you can trust Garrett Cole coming off Tommy John. As much as I love Garrett Cole, and it is Garrett damn Cole, but he is coming off of Tommy John. You have to be patient. I don't know if you can trust Luis Heel because he was rough off the injury. Maybe when he's fully healthy, it's going to be a different story, but does he become a trade candidate? A guy like M.I.A would solve a lot of these rotation issues. Not really issues, but he would solve the rotation for now and in the future because you have Fried under contract. You only have a few more years of Garrett Cole. Who knows how high of a level he's going to be pitching with 2 back-to-back injuries. And Schmidt, he's shown consistency at times. He's also shown injuries at times. So you don't really know how consistent he is. And as much as I love what Schlittler did, you never know. He's still very, very young. He can completely collapse. He can be as good as he is, or even better next year. So there is uncertainty even with a fully healthy rotation. 2 guys coming back from injury. Max Fried is going to be great, but we've also seen him in the playoffs with the Braves and now with us kind of shit the bed in the big moment. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. We don't know what Luis Heel's going to be. And Will Warren wasn't necessarily the most reliable arm in the world. So, yeah, there is an opening for a starter. Now, do the Yankees go and get a guy like M.I.A who's only 27, I think, so that's kind of perfect? Do they go and try to reunite with the Michael King, who they know is really good? I think if they attack this Japanese... They have to attack the Japanese market. They have to. It has to be one of these guys, for sure. I think they're going to try to go and get the pitcher, because for the first time, Dodgers don't really need it. Even though they've had some injuries... Like, Yamamoto is an absolute fucking star, and it pains me every single day thinking about what we could have had if we got him. Dude is absolutely filthy. What he did in the World Series deserves a statue. Ohtani at full strength is Ohtani. They have Glass now. They have Snell. I don't think, and Sasaki, who knows if he's going to be a closer or a starter, but they're fine. I think this is the best chance the Yankees have to go get a Japanese starter straight out of Japan. Now, maybe they go with Imanaga now that he's opted out of his deal.
Oh, baby, I love me some Imanaga.
So there's definitely options there, and I just think they should add to the rotation because there's a lot of uncertainty, and I really do like M.I.A, and I think that's the route they're probably going to go. I think if they want to attack the bats, they can be like, well, we have Ben Rice for first. We already have McMahon, and we can already get an established major league hitter if we really want to. Whereas with pitchers, we've seen a lot of guys come over from Japan recently and have that immediate success. The last couple of years, the examples are Yamamoto and Imanaga. So not so much Sasaki, but you knew he was going to be kind of a project coming in because he was coming in younger. We'll see. And I think that, Jonathan, you're right about the QO thing. That won't be tied to M.I.A. It'll be the posting fee.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think the way that their players are developed in Japan is so good because they're aware of the fundamentals.
They're disciplined.
And
Yeah.
they're very well disciplined. It's a respect-based culture, so you know that when they get to work, they work. They work hard at their craft, and their craft is normally better than anything the Americans can do. Just look at Yamamoto, for God's sake. I mean, as you say, Rob, you should get a statue, not just the MVP. You should get a freaking statue for what he just did in the World Series. I've never seen anything like it. Literally pitched every single day, and was just incredibly unstoppable. So, I mean, it still makes me sick to my stomach that the Yankees passed on him. They pissed that away. And they pissed that away because they're just not the organization that they used to be. Now, everyone keeps saying the Dodgers, right? And a lot of them are saying it's because of the fact that it's closer to Japan, right? I totally get that. But let's not forget that the Dodgers have a fantastic front office. They have a fantastic modern approach. And they are far more appealing to the younger generation. They're far more appealing to the next player coming through because they know they're going to be developed well. They know that they're going to be in a great culture. They know that they're going to be in a great organization that's determined to win a championship every single year. That's a big part of why they choose the Dodgers, right? And it helps that it's closer to Japan. thing is with the Yankees, they're not guaranteed that. They're not guaranteed to develop. Have you seen their development system? It's a mess. Okay, especially their international development, and they don't have a modern free front office, and they aren't guaranteed to even being close to championship because of the fact the Yankees haven't done anything close to winning a championship since 2009. These are just all facts that I know that a lot of the Yankee diehards on X who just think that everything the Yankees do is right are missing. The Dodgers are just doing what the Yankees do, but better. And the Yankees are still living in 2009. They have a front office from 2009. The Dodgers have a front office from 2025, and they are more appealing. That's why these Japanese free agents are going, I want to be a Dodger. And it helps, yes, the weather's good, and it helps that it's closer to Japan, but they want to win, and they want to develop. They want to be the best of the best, and the Dodgers are the best of the best. The Yankees are run mediocre. They're run like a mediocre franchise, and a lot of teams, a lot of the best free agents, don't go to that anymore, regardless of if they were great in 1998. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean anything anymore. That's just the fact. So we need to get into that Japanese market, and I would love M.I.A. Like M.I.A. looks great. But there's also some free agents though, like the Korean free agent. Kim's available, right?
Talk about Hassan Kim.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, he's available. He opted out of his deal.
Yeah.
I would consider him solid infielder.
He probably signed for cheap because he kind of struggled a little bit last year. With the Rays let him go, and then the Braves got him, and I don't think he was great, but he can play every. I talked about him last year. He can play every position you need him to, and now that he's going to be 100% healthy, he'd probably be a breakout candidate to kind of reclaim what he had a couple of years ago. So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. They can use some utility help, and it would tell you that it's not Volpe's job once he comes back from that injury if they bring in Kim.
And now the last thing on the docket is the Yankees have fired their international head scout. Rob, what details have you got on that?
I guess they just really don't like how things have gone on the international market in terms of obviously not with Japan, but in terms of like the Dominican Republic and stuff like that. It's weird because not too long ago, the Yankees were like the team that everyone wanted to sign with. They were always tied to the top guys, which is where Dominguez came from. But I can't really blame the international scouting when the Yankees are limited in terms of their international money. They always try to add more in trades, but they never really are able to get the guy, which is why they're trying to stay off of qualified offer players. They don't want to give that money up. They are still tied to the top free agent in this class coming up, Wandy Essien, but I don't know. It was weird to me, and it goes back to the conversation we had earlier about with the Yankees and the Giants. It's like they're just doing everything but cutting the head off the snake, and they're trying to point the finger every which way they can before they have no choice but to realize it's them. I don't think there's a problem with the international market because you look at guys like Dominguez. Is he the problem? No. There's a reason he was getting comparisons to Mickey Mantle, which was never fair to him, but you look at who he was getting comped to before he was even in high A, you're like, this guy's got the tools to be an absolute star, and he showed that in the minor leagues, and we talked about this before we went on the air. It's like there's so many players that have come up through the international market that look really good. They play really well, and whether it's rookie ball, low A, then they get to double A and triple A. They look great. Then the Yankees get their hands on them, and they just don't know what to do with them. So I don't know what their thought process was. Maybe they just figured he was here too long, but then if that's the case, why is Fishman still here? Why is basically 99% of your front office still around? It was curious because that's like one of the areas where I feel like the Yankees were pretty strong, but it has teetered off a little bit. They haven't really been able to land a lot of the top guys in recent years, so maybe they feel like they have to go a different direction.
Yeah.
reading.
So here's more information on that. Uh, so first of all, uh, he has had some misses, and his name is Donnie Roland. Um, there are some misses there. Obviously, Alexander Vargas has not worked out. He got released. Brando M.I.A. He was signed for $4.35 million in 2023. He's still a rookie A ball. Hans Montero. Uh, he's still an A ball, and he was signed back in 2021. So those guys have not worked out. Um, so there obviously have been some big misses there, but one of his signings was Jason Dominguez, uh, and even though he is graded as one of the worst outfielders defensively in the majors, Jason Dominguez, um, I have to look at the Yankees' development of Dominguez rather than Donnie Rollins role in signing him because everyone said that he was the next Mike Trout, right? Everyone was saying that the Martian is the next Mike Trout. And when we first brought him up, he kind of looked like that when he was playing until he had surgery. Um, when he first broke into the Yankees scene, that was our big white hope in that lost season in 2023. He was fantastic, wasn't he? And then he obviously had surgery, and then the Yankees have kind of messed him around. They've been playing him in left field. He doesn't look comfortable there. And then they basically stopped playing him altogether. I don't know how you're meant to develop if you don't play, right? And the Yankees never played him. They had him sit behind Alex Verdugo, who is no longer in the big leagues, and they had him sit behind Trent Grisham, and then they had him sit behind this dude that we picked up from the fucking Colorado Rockies. We had him sit behind him as well. So it's like, how is he meant to develop at all? So I'm sorry, I can't blame Donnie Roland for that. Like the scouts were all saying Dominguez was great. And I think that further goes to the point there where Tats you started with there. It's like they keep looking at all the other elements instead of like the elephant in the room or the head of the snake. The head of the snake is their baseball department. Ain't that good? Right? So you can fire the third base guy, you can kind of fire the first base guy, you can fire the bullpen coach, you can fire the international scouting director. But the big problem is the fact is the manager ain't that good. The GM ain't performing the way he should be performing, and the front office is a joke. And Mike Fishman is the biggest example of that. So that's the problem. If these guys are struggling at the big league level, then I'm sorry. Maybe you should be looking at that rather than who signed them back in fucking 2019.
No, it's the last thing that they need to say is we felt we needed a change because that could be said for everybody. It could be all the way up to the owner. You know, I don't want that to come out as an excuse. You know, he's been here too. You know, that narrative. There has to be something where there was a real groundbreaking disagreement on. You know, maybe he was like, "Look, I keep getting you all these guys. What are you doing with them?" You know, I hope it's something like that where he's like, you know, this is, you know, it's not my fault. I'm getting the guys in, and I think with the amount of the Japanese players that we were also talking about, to your other point, that has to be like the timing. Like, why now? When you have all these guys on the market, you know, when you've had this guy bring in players that have had such high potential, you know, it's. I just think that the timing of letting this guy go with the Japanese market this season, they better get this right because we do need to establish ourselves again in the international division with these free agents because it has not come to fruition at all lately.
You can expect a lot, but just be prepared for a lot of disappointment.
Imagine.
The Yankees are
All I
the
could,
champions of we're in on. Like there's a Mount
Yeah,
Rushmore of have checked in on players, and it would make us like 37-time champions.
right. That's true.
it's this whole organization. Like I said, it went from one of the most prestigious organizations, and they're looking less like the Yankees and more like the Marlins. And that is the very wrong direction that you want to go in, especially in this market, especially with the history of this organization. You know, like I said, they were always saying how the league caught up to them. The league has passed them by. I said this, Rob, I said this to Donald the other day. They're the relics now. They're the old guard that need to go. Their mind cannot grasp the new way that the game is being run. And it also starts with an owner who loves the profit, loves, but does not love the game enough to own this team properly.
I mean, I completely agree with you there, man. But I don't want to end on a negative note.
All right.
And further to Paul Skeen, so a big shout out to NYY Underground for posting this on X uh, for a segment of the article that talks about Paul Skeens. Quote, trust me, he wants to play for the Yankees. This Skeens teammate said. I've heard him say it multiple times. End quote. Charrington's reaction. I do dismiss it, but I understand it, the Pirates executive said Tuesday. What we're going to focus on is just how do we win games with him in a Pirates uniform. I have a ton of respect for the Yankees, but we'll just focus on what we need to do. So it's basically a fact that Paul Skeens wants to be a New York Yankee. So let's see if the Yankees can do a LA Lakers and steal Doncic from the Mavericks. So basically steal Skeens from the Pirates. Listen, if any organization is dumb enough to trade their best player, like the Mavericks were, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. So take advantage of their stupidity. That's my that's my final thought of the day. Take advantage of their stupidity, because if there's one team that's worse than the Yankees, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates.
It's like the Yankees don't know how to develop their players. The Pirates don't know. I mean, you want to talk about team parallels, but no. And Paul Skeens as a Yankee would be, I think, every Yankee fan's dream right now. We'll just have to see how it goes. It's good. It's a long off season. We'll have to talk about trade options later on. It's too much. There's too much going on with the free agent. Stupidity for the win. I got it. But Rob, let's give you the final word.
Paul Skeens would be a dream, and I think that's exactly where it's going to stay in the dream vault. I'll go trade for him in MLB The Show, and then I'll know what that's like. I don't think it's happening any other way. Let's just hope the Yankees get their heads out of their asses and realize it's kind of now or never. That window that we've been talking about for 5 years on this show is basically shutting fast, closing fast, and they have every ability in the world to change that. And this might be the one offseason that can actually do it before we hit yet another lockout. Which is a shame, by the way, that after a crazy playoff and a crazy World Series, that we know that this year is going to end with another lockout. Shame on you, MLB.
With that,
We missed you, Rob. Come back to us soon, my man.
yes. We'll have to advocate for him to get 1 days off.
Exactly. Everyone in the chat, let's hit up Rob's manager. We need to get Rob on the show again. It's been a pleasure to get the Three Amigos back on the go again. It's been awesome. So everybody, please hit the like button. We're not hit the like button enough these days. So If you like our content and you want to see more of it, everyone that's watching, if you could head on over to YouTube, the folks that are watching on X, we appreciate you. If you guys could head on over to YouTube, hit that like button, help the algorithm, help the thing grow. YouTube have kind of messed with the baseball sports.
Yeah, they kind of buried us. Yeah.
And where we would normally be, where we would get normally thousands and thousands of views at this point, we're not getting that. It ain't nothing to do with our content. So the algorithm is kind of needing a little bit more of a rejig. So it's kind of on you guys. And if you guys could do that, then we'd be so grateful. So if you guys could help hit the like button. If there's a hype icon there, it kind of comes and goes sometimes. Hit that hype button for your boys here. Luca is checking in from work. My man Luca, we had a good show. We got the Three Amigos back. So when you get home from work, man, you check out our pod. I'm pretty happy with it. Miss you, Luca. Looking forward to doing some Knicks content soon with you, my guy. Rob's dad says here, get Alonso and Schwarber. Yeah,
what's with the Schwarber stuff? Like, we just heard Alex Rodriguez say we have 4 DHs. You want to go sign a 5th? Why does everyone keep talking about Schwarber? Where are you putting him? Stanton ain't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Schwarber is a fantastic hitter. He might hit 60 in Yankee Stadium. He ain't playing the outfield, though. You thought it was bad with Soto out there? You thought it was bad putting Stanton out there? You want to put Kyle Schwarber in left field at Yankee Stadium? Why don't you put a landmine out there? You probably have a better opportunity to make some plays.
Having said that, that would be 90 home runs that you'd get between Pete Alonso and Schwarber. That's the kind of shit that Brian Cashman likes. He likes his big hairy monsters. That's how he's usually built these teams in the past. So we'll see. Schwarber first.
Oh, even worse than putting him in left. It's just coming up with the best ideas, aren't we? Just I haven't missed much from there because we're just coming up with the greatest ideas. The Yankees would love this chat. Like, oh, crap, that's a terrible idea. Let's do it. Kyle Schwarber in left field.
Let's not give them any more bad ideas. They can come up with it. They can ruin their organization.
Yeah, people complaining about Dominguez's outfield play, but let's put Kyle Schwarber out there. Oh, Ben Rice can't play first. Let's put Schwarber at first. It's like, what's next? You're gonna hear that other moron on X telling me to move Aaron Judge to first base. A 6'7" giant.
Yeah, that's the next one. That will be the next one.
Just put a rock
Aaron
out there.
Is absurdly good arm. Let's stick him at first base.
He's taking grounders at second. Maybe they'll try him out there too.
So kneel on your pickleball, bro. You're the only dude.
I'm done. I'm out.
That's where you gotta end it. Once Kiss of Death brings up pickleball, you know it's time to
pickleball, bro.
Hit that end button.
No, there's a big pickleball court, and I thought of you, Sunil, but not in a good way.
Schwarber at short center. That's a good one. Just stick him out there in the middle of the outfield. He can't. He certainly would mess that up.
Put it behind the plate while we're at it, right? It's been a lot of fun. We're glad that you guys hung out with us as we took a lot of extra time while we had Rob with us. We do appreciate it. It's great to have everybody back together again.
I'd rather play with a stick of dynamite.
Yeah, John. We are. It drives me nuts. With that, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This is the Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats with Donald and Rob. And just remember to wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.